the series of ducks started, it all started here, this little bit of paper, and on this bit of paper it says, it's just, I was playing with words and I found some words that rhymed, and the words that rhymed were truck, muck, luck, stuck, and yuck. And within those words, I thought there was a whole story contained in those words. My mind started working and put things together. And the most interesting thing is that there is a character in there already, which is a duck driving a truck, which is quite a funky and interesting image, I think. So that's where Duck in the Truck all began many years ago. Then I have to lay it out into frames. These frames represent the pages in a picture book, so you're kind of getting used to the flow of the story. And this is the sort of visual language which I learnt when I was a child reading comics. So the character is saying certain things, there's a speech bubble. So at this stage I'm drawing and writing above what the duck might be saying or what the text might be saying at each point. And gradually you work through the whole story, and you know, for most picture books have maybe 12 spreads or 14 and a half, so you know the space you've got to fill, and hopefully it will work out. It's kind of magic when it does. What I find is helpful is to actually not just see your prospective book on one page in these little thumbnails. At some point it's good to make it into an actual physical book in which you can turn the page, because the page turn, what happens on that page turn, is very important for the energy of the book, for how successful it is, for how as an experience, as a sort of entertaining experience. So at some point I make a book, and the first book I make will be, it doesn't have to be good drawings, very rough. This is a very early dummy book for the Gobble Gobble Moo Tractor book. The drawings are very, very basic, but you can see the story and you get the feeling of how it's playing as a book. I needed to find out what the truck in Duck in the Truck would look like. I found this beautiful car, which is a 1948 Jaguar, and I could imagine my duck driving this truck, so I thought, yeah, I'll have that one. So I started drawing it, finding out what it looked like, getting used to it as a character really in the book. And in order to help me draw it from all angles, I bought a toy of it, which means I can turn it and draw a back view or a front view. But you might notice that this truck is different from the one that appears in the book, because it doesn't have a truck at the back, a truck end. So what I did was I grafted on a truck end, and you can see in this toy, which we had made of the character, there's a truck bit at the back, which is very important for where he carries his vegetables. My particular method for working out these drawings is, I do a drawing, you never do the right, very rarely the first drawing is not correct. So, but some of it might be correct. So what I do is the bit that's correct I leave, and the bit that isn't, I'll rip off a bit of paper, stick it over the top, trace over what I've done, making the changes I want. Gradually you get this patchwork built up, and what you end up in the end with is a picture which is very rough patchwork, but everything's in the place that you want it. Once I've done my drawing, I'm ready to colour it in. I use, for duck, I use these markers which come in loads and loads of different colours that are all numbered, and there's so many that you can sometimes forget the exact shade you use for which bit of the drawing. So sometimes I've actually made a label that says frog mid. So frog actually has 3 greens, and this is for the mid colour. I'll show you how I, yeah, of course, when you talk to children they always say, how do you draw so neatly? Because when you're a child they think to be a good drawer just means you don't go over the lines. So that's the greatest skill of all. A long time later, through the post one day, I received the finished book, which is a very special moment. You've almost forgotten about it by that point, you're on to another project. But the book is fantastic. You smell it and it's fresh, and this thing that started as a very small idea in a few words becomes a practical reality. And all those decisions you made, you look at and you think, was it right, and did I do it right, and you have this general kind of assessment of how it went, really. But I must say, when I first get the book, I look at it and I'm very cautious with it. I almost don't want to go near it in case I go in and find, oh, I don't like that bit. But I must say, it doesn't usually work out like that, because you take such care with it, you take your time, and you make sure you do it the best you can, really. But it's a magic moment when the finished book comes in.